because we have several hours together today. In the next hour and 15 minutes or so, we're going to hear from David and the facilitators team to have a little bit of a mini dialogue in the room, which exemplifies some of the conversations that were had across the country that many of you took part in. But we figured since we're all here together, we would do a little session talking about some key issues that arose in the dialogues. Essentially, that is in order to get everyone on the same page or prepare everyone for the 3 p.m. session, in which we will be joined by several members of the USIP South Sudan Working Group, which is a working group that has existed for about 6 or 7 years now, made up of experts from around DC who either work in organizations or who work in the U.S. government. We'll be joined by some representatives of the Department of State and the U.S. Agency for International Development, the Congressional Research Service organization, some NGOs that are working in South Sudan. So it's a great opportunity for them to hear from you on the lessons and the main themes that emerged from the community dialogues around the U.S. We've told them that is the point of the conversation, and they're all very enthusiastic to learn from what are the salient conversations that are happening, what were the main themes that emerged, and what are the areas that were discussed about how to engage from here in the ongoing peace process. It's very difficult to do whenever you're so far away from your home, but I'm sure some conversations occurred that talked about that topic. So that'll be from 3 to 4:30, and then at 4:30 we'll have a light reception out here, which will be very casual, and we'll close the program at 5 p.m. So that's the plan for the day. If there are any questions on the plan or the agenda, if not, I'll turn it over to David.
Thank you, Nicolada, and on behalf of the facilitators, I want to welcome all of you for offering your time, and also Dr. Isaacson from the Diaspora for being here with us and share and listen from these people who are members of the South Sudanese community as well as community leaders. All of the people in this room are community leaders. Honorable Tim, we are glad to have you here with us today, because as you just came from Juba recently, and it is an opportunity for you to hear it from firsthand. What is it that we discussed in the diaspora, so that when you go back, you have a positive message that you have learned from the diaspora. And Ambassador Cage, you are the first ambassador that we know at the diaspora, where you live with us till you went back to Juba and you came back to visit us. This is not new to you. You've been dealing with this before 2013 and after 2013, and it is our honor to have you with us today. Ambassador Philip is coming. As you can see, the embassy team is already here. So, to members of the embassy staff, welcome and thank you for joining us. You are participating today as just South Sudanese. You are not in the official capacity. Last but not least, I want to recognize Bishop Abraham Yolniao, one of the leading advocates, law scholars as a bishop. He has been in the forefront of the peace and dialogue in South Sudan. So Bishop, God made it possible for you to be here with us today, and thank you for attending. I'll just be brief about the program. And Honorable John, I recognize you as well. So there is no protocol, but so the reason we are here is the program that we have been working on for about a year. And some of you have already been at the South Sudanese dialogue before, Diaspora dialogue, and some of you have not been. So what we wanted to do very quickly within 10 minutes is to bring everybody to the same surface, so that you don't catch the discussion in the middle, and other people are well informed about what we're discussing. So the facilitators among you over the last few months, we have been traveling around the U.S. Facilitating a diaspora dialogue sponsored by the U.S. Institute of Peace. And our job was to find out that for the issues that we are facing as South Sudanese community in the diaspora, how is it that we got to the point where we are so much divided that communities are not sitting together, talking together, and actually trying to solve problems together, even though they live in the same city. And for that purpose, we went and started the dialogue in Phoenix, Arizona. And in Phoenix, Arizona, we have a representative from Arizona here, and they will later testify as to their own experience about the dialogue. And what we have done is that we will go into these cities. We selected only few because we didn't have enough resources to do it all over the country. And each of the places we go to is what we have found is, number one, we found a community that was together before 2013, and number two, a community that is not together after 2013. We also find that people in the same city very much wanted to forgive each other and to reconcile and to work together as South Sudanese, but there has never been a platform offered to them as an opportunity to do that. One of the biggest problem evidence shows to us that we have identified is social media. So in a discussion, one of the things we'll be focusing is what is it that we can do as diaspora leaders to help our people use social media community standards that are beneficial rather than the one that are destroying our community. So basically this program is not meant to solve the issue of South Sudan war, but it is meant to bridge the divide between the South Sudanese community. Because whether you want a democratic process or you want a social democracy or you want liberal democracy, you cannot do it alone. Whatever the changes you want, you have to work together as a community. And during independence, we as South Sudanese put our hands together regardless of our differences, and we work to achieve the independence. So the Diaspora Dialogue facilitating team wanted to provide the opportunity where we can say, how do we get back to that time? The time where we used to be South Sudanese and one community. Everybody in this room has been touched by the conflict in South Sudan. I'll just use as an example my own story. So for example, I'm the third child from my family, and my mom was in Town during the 2013 crisis. They went to Bor for the Christmas celebrations. And that was the most exciting time for every South Sudanese. And when the conflict happened, unfortunately, my own mother did not make it out of town. She was one of the victims. So now the question has become for me is that, should I use the issue of my own mom's death to stir controversy and division among South Sudanese so that someone else that is lucky to have his mother will lose her mother too, or his mother? For me, I didn't think it was the right thing to do, and I think for facilitating team, some of them lost family members, we all arrived at the same conclusion, that it is better for those who are with us to save life than to kill life more than we have lost. So everybody knows that none of the South Sudanese is immune from the crisis. It has touched every one of us. But the question is, how do we go forward as a community, as one people, for one nation? So that was our job, and some of the things that we have found will be shared with you in the process when we are discussing. So you are here to dialogue as community leaders among ourselves here, and the main message that will take back to our community. So I will stop there briefly, and we'll move on to the next session.
We'd like Ailey to also introduce herself since she wasn't in the room. Ailey's been instrumental in helping set up this event, so as well.
Hi, I'm Ailey Morgan, and I work on the South Sudan team. This project is actually one of the first I worked on when I came to USIP, so I've seen it. It's one of the very few that I've seen from the very beginning, and it's been great to see it grow to what it is today.
So basically, you can see here behind you, this is our banner. It says Community Dialogue in Phoenix. That is where we started it. That's where we did the first dialogue. And in each of the city, we will put the city name up there. But our motto is that cultivate peace, not hate. So that is what we go about, so that you cultivate peace, not hate, in our community. So one of the things that we will discuss is when you hear about dialogue, people have different definitions. So I will hand it over to Dr. Henry to talk about. Okay. So basically, there is a difference between dialogue and a conversation. When you are in a dialogue, there are certain things you need to keep in mind. So your own definition of dialogue and my definition of dialogue might not be the same. So when you are in a dialogue, there are a few things that you need to be attentive to. And for those who are participating in a dialogue, first of all, dialogue requires that you listen and speak to be heard. In a dialogue, you are also required to understand that the other person might have a good point as well. That you are not the one with the right answer. That when somebody is making a point, that doesn't mean that they are attacking you, but they are making their own point. Dialogue allows you to develop a mutual understanding with the person you are dialoguing with. For that, it is different from debate. If you could go see the next slide. So if you look up here, we have what is dialogue and what is debate. And when you are in a dialogue, the most important thing is to know that you are not there to win. Is to find consensus. But in a debate, your goal is to win. Is to defeat the other person. So what we are going to do tonight is just briefly, when we are discussing the question before you, is for you to understand that each one of us will have a point, you have a point, but at the same time, you are not here to win the argument versus your fellow brothers and sisters. So it is important to follow the rules of the dialogue in order to have a successful dialogue. In order for a dialogue to be fruitful, there are certain things we must follow. And one of those things is to make sure, don't speak for other people. Don't speak for we or us. Speak for yourself. Because do not assume that you are here to represent a certain group. You are representing yourself so that you can make a legitimate point in your argument. For the sake of time, so these are just 4 objectives of why we are doing the South Sudanese dialogue. So it's a quick summary for you, just to glance at it so that you can be able to explain it yourself. But the bigger part now is what we are going to do at the discussion of dialogue for all of us. So yeah, you good. So how many in this room has attended the Diaspora dialogue before? Can you raise your hand? Okay. How many of you, has anyone here been at a dialogue in South Sudan? Like, I think there is a dialogue going on in South Sudan. Has anyone been at the dialogue in South Sudan? Like, is it called National Dialogue? National Dialogue. Has anyone participated in the National Dialogue? No, okay. So, yeah, one person?
Observer.
Okay, you were there as an observer, okay. So our dialogue is going to be a little bit different from what happened in Juba. And the most burning question that we came up with from our discussion in the community is the use of social media. Our finding is not scientific, but our finding is that people in our community, majority of them, spend 4 or 5 hours on social media, particularly Facebook. And the way they use Facebook is not fruitful to their own individual development as well as to the general community relationship. So what are the community standards that you as a community leader know that we are not practicing as South Sudanese? That's part one of the question. Part two of the question is that what are your experience when it comes to the way South Sudanese are using social media? So this is where we'll begin our discussions. Healy is going to moderate our discussion, so she's going to keep time. So when you are given a chance to speak to the topic, the agenda, and then we'll move to the next topic. So the question before us is the destruction of social media in our community, and we will open it for discussions. Yeah, and so basically there are three aspects. So the negative aspect of social media and the positive aspect of social media and your own experience with what social media has done to our communities.
If I could say something now, I think we're talking about perspectives and or opinions on the negative aspect of social media, the positive, and our own personal, just insights. I would say from a negative aspect, there's definitely been a perpetuation of maybe hate speeches, people aligning to either one side, one political group, one ethnic group, whatever it is, right? We've seen that constantly happen, right, on social media, to where there is good and there's bad. On the good side, I've seen people sharing, let's say, the identity, right, of South Sudan, to where they're saying, I'm South Sudanese, and or supporting a tribe. So I think there's benefits of being prideful, right, and being able to say, I'm from a certain tribe, but let's not overshadow everyone else, right? You can be proud of who you are, and it can still be positive. But then also, I think one event that's, I would say, positive right now, South Sudan Unites, put on by Goal Deng Foundation. So I'm part of the team there, and I think that's been, let's say, a positive aspect of, let's say, social media, what's been sharing. The event, for those who don't know, it's a 3-day cultural event, music, fashion, workshops, professionalism, basketball tournaments, community day, cultural festival, but just 3 days to unite South Sudanese in the diaspora as well as around the world who can make it. So we fly in musicians, artists, professional speakers. We have a doctor that's coming who does the recipe, Taste of South Sudan, and all these different aspects. But from a positive, let's say, spin of things, I think that's been very good for the community, and it's been shared a lot, right? So I direct some marketing kind of objectives, and we've got like thousands of views and responses and shares. So we have over, I think, 300 plus people that have applied online and registered. We'll probably go up to like 500 or so throughout the weekend. But from a positive aspect, I would say, that's one point of it. From my own personal aspect, I think there's been negative and positive aspects that I've seen people perpetuating, let's say, negative stigmas and or certain implicit biases, right, of the war, certain tribes, certain groups. So I think from a personal aspect, I've seen it it's very apparent, right? And I think also, again, from a personal perspective, I like to just share everybody and anything, right? If people are talking about South Sudan, the country, anything good, I always just post or repost and do things of that nature. So, yeah, thanks for the time.
Thank you.
Anyway, let's give it short. Try to be within 2 minutes. Thank you.
So anyone else? Most of the experience Moses has shared is the positive use of social media, but also in relation to the conflict in 2013. What are the experience? One of the best examples is that there were people circulating images on social media that were actually from the Rwanda genocide, and that was actually it created a reaction that was very swift and very negative because nobody had time to prove the evidence or not. Another side of that is that there were people sharing photos of dead people on social media. So what if somebody like me would have seen the photo of my own mother on the floor? I could have an heart attack. That is not even, that also is not a good community standard, the way to use social media. Anyone else?
Well, from my perspective, positive things, most have said it. I think culture is part of it. You know, we are learning to be proud of our culture. We speak in our language. It's very important. We also appreciate that diversity. Well, in terms of the negative, it wouldn't be a negative because without social media, 2013 would not have been known. You know, there's a lot of cover-up going on. People were not saying there's nothing happened in Juba. I personally saw dead bodies in the streets. You know, I had a gun pointed to my head. So without me putting on social media, nobody would have known about it. So I think, you know, people say it's hate speech, but it's not really, it's the truth. But sometimes the truth hurts. There is some element of, you know, tribalism that goes on a lot, where one people would talk bad about one tribe, but that's based on frustrations. And I think South Sudanese don't really have a place for talk about trauma, and I think we use social media to talk about our trauma. And I think it's one positive thing that social media has done.
So in the sense that the social media is therapeutic to the process of trauma. Okay, anyone else? Okay.
Well, I would analyze social media in three categories. I would say that the Sudanese social media, or the Sudanese in general social media, is positive 80%. We have seen that the fall of the ship was through social media. In answer to this war going on, a lot of people didn't know what was the cause of this war, because we just got our independence and people were not aware what was going on. Although the war was a power struggle within one party, which is the SPLA, our masses did not know what was going on. This is where, in the social media now, you have a group that have shot up. They advocate, for example, people like Tokoi, who's the Denker from Away. He tries to enlighten people about the district in Southern Sudan. So if you take the example of Jonko, this is a positive social media. There's a group called itself Couple. They are trying to mobilize to apply the same uprising that was done by youth that caused a revolution that chased away Bashir. So I would say social media, 80% is positive. The negative could be like 15%, where people take social media for laundering their social affairs. For example, a lady who is jealous of another lady will go to the social media and talk about the jealousy. This is the 15%. Also, the head group flood up. But I would say the head group is 5% of the social media. The cause of the rise of the head group is because of, it's a direct effect of this war. Before the war, like my brother was saying, social media was used for culture, entertainment, like dances. And through social media, you know a Mundari or a Mundle dance or a Mundle conference. So I would say social media has 80% positive, but 15% negative. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. So before I get to the next person, so when I tell you, you gotta do like this. Don't forget. So when he goes like this, that many a time is also do that. My sister there, her hands up next to Jahan, Honorable Jahan. Yeah, she raised her hand.
Well, my thoughts.
Your microphone. Take it closer to you. Push it closer.
Just bring it closer to your mouth.
Alright, so my thoughts on social media is there's a lot of negative more than positive. I mean, the positive part is, when you use like people that we know back in Africa, we communicate with them, and you can talk to them and stuff, and people that just came from Africa don't know how to read and write, so they're stuck with it. But I feel like there's a lot of more negative than positive because with us, especially the young generation, somebody said something or something that comment, you already, even if it's not about you, you don't think it's about you. And then now you'll be able to go back and forth, cussing out, cussing each other out and stuff, so I don't think then the fact that you are either ignoring or the that's gonna come through, and then it's gonna affect the young generation a lot, because it's like they go back and forth with the situation, you know, and then also the older, like the mothers and the dad. You argue with one person, you guys in the same city, and you guys are arguing on Facebook, when you have to, back home, you can just probably go knock on somebody's door, handle it, nobody's gonna know from the other side, or something happened in this place. But with the social media, it's happening, like, you just get on Facebook, go live. And then I feel like when some live start, that's when Facebook went really, really wrong. Because it's like, all you do is discuss each other out. Nobody's using it for the purpose that it's supposed to be used for. I feel like we are, us as Sudanese, South Sudanese, we are taking advantage of it, the live. So it's like, all we do is discussing each other out all the time. And I don't think it's a positive thing.
Thank you, Reverend Tom.
Alright, so be very brief. I've been using social media for quite some time. We're actually social.
Your microphone, for the sake of recording, make sure it is closer to you. Yeah.
Actually started Facebook in 2005 when it first started on campus. But I'll just talk about the general what is actually happening in our community. When we look at the country is more, like depending on the magnitude and the accent of that country. And then also conflict also can bring change. But when we look at it, I think there's something that we really have to define our community, the issue of mental health. Until we come to that realization that we have to really tackle the issue of mental health in our community, then we'll be able to move forward in a way that is more constructive, that is more positive in a way that we can look at the business work. For example, we have seen that some people have positioned themselves like Oprah Winfrey, they have their own show, and most of the shows that a lot of people attend to watch are the ones that are more controversial. Maybe you're attacking someone or maybe you're attacking certain communities. And I think the Facebook or the social media begin to take turn when they start that show. Because it actually allows everybody that can say whatever they want to say on social media. So I think as a community, we have to really come back and address the issue of trauma, the issue of mental health, because a lot of people were okay before 2013. After the 2013, a lot of trauma and a lot of aggression were actually triggered, and actually everything just blew up, went out of hand. So I think as a community, we have to look into the issue of mental health, the trauma itself, the stress and all that, because actually we have a lot. And culturally, we don't talk about this kind of thing. Until we decided to talk about these issues, then we can talk about peace and the relationship between our communities.
Thank you. Deborah?
Thank you, David. I think I wanted something here that very, very direct. Very difficult for us to check where we're going. In my own opinion, social media is an information tool. So debating about whether it is good or is not bad is a waste of time. We are not going to change that. We can only talk about social media relative to our own issues, relative to how it's being used on the South Sudanese issues. And I think even as we talk, I think that's what people are thinking about, on how it is being used or probably as a medium for good to propagate good information. And I think the issue of good and bad is subjective. Many of us are coming from a position where we are judging what we're hearing used in a way that benefits us or not benefit us, we have to discuss that relative to our issues. What are the issues that divide us as South Sudanese? And I think all of us as people have the right to talk about them. There's no monopoly of individuals that we think ought to talk about these issues in the right way and others don't. So if we really want to address or talk about social media in a way that is productive to us, then we can learn something out of it. It would be for us to identify the issues related to us as South Sudanese that divide us and how those issues are being projected on social media, either positively or negatively, and how we can be able to contain them. And I think those divisions are what have divided us as a diaspora, and I don't think we represent one common platform here in the sense that we agree on one thing. And maybe it's good for us to talk about those things we agree or disagree on. That way, we will be addressing issues that will benefit us as people. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Harriet. So quickly, before I get the next person, so, you know, other communities like the Afghanistan community and Iraq and other communities have the same problems, where people use social media to advance their own interests in trying to exaggerate or to report what is going on in their home country. In the case of South Sudan, for example, USIP used to have this network. I don't know whether it's still Peace Tech Lab. So there is this program called Peace Tech Lab that many of you are familiar with. And what they did was they went on Facebook and focused on a scientific research on South Sudanese activities on social media. Here are some of the things they found. Number one, in the Nuer community, there was a term called Nuerwo. Nuerwo, right? The definition of that is that a Nuer that has been bought for money. Number two, there was, in the Dinka community, there was a term called MPN. So they said that it is used to describe people who move around and occupy, describe Dinka in the Equatorial community. And in the Dinka community, they have terms that they use to describe the Nuer and to describe the Equatorial community. And the use of those terms spiked after 2013, you know? So within Nuer community, within the Dinka community, within the Equatorial community, within the Faratit and all the other communities, there were people, those who support the one side and those who support those sides, using social media trying to tear the other part down. So this is not something that is not happening. It is really happening. So that is one side of it. The second side of it is that whenever there is something going on in South Sudan, South Sudanese will go on social media and make their voice really loud, one way or the other. The question for us is that, what are community standards we can learn that we as community leaders can then turn around and use and bring those to our communities? If you are a leader in the Equatorial community, what good standard, good practice of social media use can you take back so that the people in the community can still make their political voice, but at the same time be able to use it in a positive way? So I think there is something there, but I do agree time is not enough to discuss everything, but it is in the context of the 2013 crisis. That is where this came. Juan?
Thank you, David. Time is really short. Really, we can discuss more about this issue of social media. As I introduced myself earlier, that I represent the Nuer community, I think social media before the war was really entertaining the culture of South Sudanese various communities. But after the war, 2013, it became the information that people are sharing of what is happening back home. So when we were there in Juba, I was there on the 15th. I was one of the survivors for Juba massacre. Do I have to share my history on social media, but why I was missed by those who carry out the killing? It might not be helpful to me to share it. But You know, the call was made when the war broke out in Juba to Diaspora community for us to share what is happening back home. The social media, which is really bad, is the one that posts the picture of dead people. But it's some kind of information to know, to see, to show the world what is really going on in South Sudan. The killing, the people who are raping, I mean the soldiers are raping women, killing children, the violence that is happening in the communities across South Sudan. So this is really a call that makes people go violence on social media. How can we make a call to call for accountability of who is carrying and who is responsible for what is happening? We know that it is an issue of SPLM as a party. What did involve the civilians? Why are we killing civilians who are not part of the government, who are not part even, they were just targeted because of ethnicity, that they are from that particular tribe. That's why, you know, it is really hard to control this social media right now. Even though the South Sudan is in peace right now, we are still, some people are advocating for justice, for accountability, and want to make sure that the Ivory Court is being established in South Sudan so that people who are responsible for what happened are brought to justice. If I ask here, how many people from Noor community, whether you are from the government or you're from the SPLMIO, you can raise your hand so I can make sure that you guys are, how many here? So 4 of us.
7.
7? Okay, how many from Equatorial community? We have Dr. Henry.
2.
Okay, 2. And how many from the Dinka community?
You make up the question here.
Yeah.
What are you going to make?
I count 8.
Yeah. You know, that's sometimes this program is a good program. When David went to Omaha, I attended the Omaha dialogue, and I spoke in that dialogue. I think this program is very fruitful for the Sudanese community here in the United States to reconcile and dialogues among themselves. And as people who fund this program, I believe it is a program that you guys can continue because you know exactly what is going on in South Sudan. I can't tell you. I heard earlier that you just came back. You just came back from Africa. And you know what is going on up to today, how people are still dying. How can we shut up this social mongering media people that just go viral? Get picture from, like I saw that the killing in Libya. Those guys they brought that picture, people are lining up, they go and cut the throat, and they said, oh, these are North people that are being killed. I told one of the guys that, no, this is not right. Even the language that you speak is not Dinka language. I work in Rumbek. I learned some of the Dinka language. I told them that, no, this is not right. This is a different, this must be West African or some part of African country. Not Dinka killing North people. Those are not North by themselves. But it does not mean that those guys, they want to generate a war. They want want to continue. But as part of the community here, who can control, we need this program to advance so that you guys can have more time in Midwest, especially in Nebraska, Iowa, and Minnesota, so that we can involve the leadership of North community. If they understand this program, maybe they can, and it's not only North community that have this social media war. There's also the Dinka community, also the other community, Zulu community, and the Equatorial community. Because conflict of South Sudan touched everybody. I lost 7 people, my family, in that war. But do I have to, as David stated, I'm not going to get them back. But do I have a responsibility to prevent the other family member to die? Yes, I do. And this is where we can get this social media to, if we communicate in one voice of the South Sudanese community, that the war that is happening in South Sudan, we're not going to contain it by going viral in social media. We need to preach the peace also, because there is a peace now going on. Some people also feel this program as part of this national dialogue. Maybe you know that. Yeah. In those occasions, yeah. People ask me, is this part of the national dialogue? Yeah. Because we are not part of the government. Yeah. So we are South Sudanese community here. Yeah. So I'm not going to take that my time, but I just want to appeal that the program to expand to different places, especially in Midwest, where there's a large number of South Sudanese, and from there we will have, we may contend the social media to use it for the benefit, to make sure that the rest of the people in South Sudan are survived. Thank you.
Thank you. So quick, before we will move on to the next session, let me just say 30 seconds. So the questions and what has come out of the discussions, these are the informations, like I said before, that are going to be useful, number one, to us as community leaders and for the process of the dialogue, is that basically social media is good in a sense that it promotes our culture. It's also good because it allows us to be informed about the issues going on in our country. It brings the media, the information that is so far closer to us. And it also, the bad part of the social media, and there are more to that, I will not get into it, but the bad part of our social media that has been identified so far is that we need, as leaders, when we go back to our communities, to encourage people that when you post a photo of a dead person, you might be putting somebody's family members there. So there are things that we will use to discourage our community members from using, and things we will encourage them to continue to use, like for example, a survivor like Brother Booth, or you call to share your story. That's a good part of social media. So I'll turn it over to Nicola, but Bishop will give you 2 minutes to say something about it before we to Nicola.
Thank you, David. I'm happy to be here. As I introduced myself earlier, I'm Bishop Abraham Nian. I used to live here in Atlanta, Georgia. I have seen some of you that we met before. But I've decided to go back home and be part of the building South Sudan. When I came to this program, I'm coming to know what the diaspora, the U.S. community of South Sudanese, is contributing toward peace in South Sudan. What the church is doing to bring peace to South Sudan. So that when I go back to a week next month, and in November, when I will be meeting with our bishop in Juba, South Sudan, I will be able to share these stories that I heard from here. I want to say that social media is not the only tool that fueling the war and destroying the unity of people of South Sudan. It's not the only one. Social media and even people that we know are our allies in South Sudan are also part of our suffering. They have not genuinely came to unite people of South Sudan. Many people came with their own hiding agenda of keeping that country not to be together. So not only Facebook, it's beyond Facebook, it's beyond people of South Sudan. The bad thing about maybe our allies or social media, they don't mention anything good that is happening now in South Sudan, even though we are in a war. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody's talking about the good thing about South Sudan. It's always bad thing about South Sudan. It's always that South Sudanese cannot sit together like this. It's always that like, when South Sudanese are meeting, they will just start killing one another. That is not true. I was coming to this gathering to share my own experience when I was last year. Only last year, I've been in Bentiu, I've been in Gorwai. And Gorwai is a village outside of Ayut. 6 Dinka were there, a area that's controlled by the IO, where we were welcomed with an air of brutality of welcoming the visitors. People were thinking that we will not come back alive. And we came back and I'm here today. Is anyone mentioned about that? No. It looked like a Dinka and a Nuer cannot meet and not fight. It looked like a Equatorian cannot meet with other tribe and they cannot fight. I was in Mundri and Louis early last year in January. We got this opportunity that we can be part of peace and bringing our ideas and suggesting our ideas for people in South Sudan and even to the people that bring South Sudanese together. We want to know what is the contribution of this group here. What are we doing in our own group, our own communities? What are we doing in the church? What is the government is doing? These are the stories that I'm happy to hear. Social media is not the only tool that destroys South Sudan. Even people that we trust are also part of our suffering of people of South Sudan. Thank you.
David, I want to add something. Actually, the DC government, we offer social media training, and basically talk about how it can help you and how it can also hurt you. You can actually learn the social media if you misuse it. So we do also offer those kind of courses in this government.
Thank you, Naklara.
First, I just wanted to say welcome to Ambassador Jada for joining us. Thank you so much for being here and for, I understand from David, your interest in this project and the lessons that have emerged from it. I know that we only have about 20 minutes left until the next session, and what I think is almost a natural segue in the conversation is what I see on social media, not just with the South Sudanese community, but the US community, is that people who may use Facebook as an opportunity to even feel engaged in political processes or engaged in what's going on in their countries. When you are this far away from a situation where there's maybe an ongoing peace process or conflict that is ongoing, social media is a way for you to feel like you're an active participant in that political process. So I'm curious, examples on social media, but also not on social media, how community leaders in this room feel like they can engage in the peace process that is ongoing and the implementation of the agreement that is ongoing in South Sudan.
So that is the second question, and when you are speaking, you have 2 minutes, and we will be very strict with time. So it is again open for discussions. As the father said, that is the question that we are going to discuss at the second question. How is it that how do you feel, or what way should we, as community leaders and members of diaspora, be part of the peace process in South Sudan? How do we contribute to that?
I say that because I think that is the main question coming from the policymakers in the next session,
Right.
and that's what they would love to hear and learn from you all about.
Right. So in the second session, as she mentioned, the policymakers would want to hear two things. First, on the dialogue part is what are the evidence that has emerged from the diaspora dialogue, good or bad. The second part that they would be interested in is how do we, as the diaspora part of the United States community here, and are so much excited about contributing to South Sudan, how do we become part of the process, and how do we contribute to sustainable peace in South Sudan? So I will leave it open. Until you need to keep time, 2 minutes. I know you can be good at that. So 2 minutes per person. We will do 10-minute public sessions, and then the other 10 minutes will turn to our guests so that they can make the observation remarks as well. Anyone that has not spoken that would want to, I would prioritize anyone that has not.
This is a different topic than this.
Okay. Okay.
Ambassador Jaya, some other people may not know.
Okay, yeah, that's good. So, Ambassador will introduce himself when he's speaking. Okay, so Peter raised his hand first. So Peter, or Henry, Peter put his hand down, so Henry, you can take the floor.
I'm going to raise my hand.
Both of you.
First of all, introduce the ambassador.
You will have in session, so go ahead.
Actually, I did not understand the question of Nicoletta, but what I understood is that how do the peace process trickle down to the communities in the United States?
And how do the communities in the United States hope to influence the peace process? So both, yes.
First of all, what I'd like to say is that most of the communities in the United States, 60% they don't get the information going on in the country. Why is that? Before the war, in the whole United States, they used to have a SPLA chapter, which was a one-party chapter, and the SPLA chapter were engaged with all the communities. Like, for example, when the peace process was being discussed in Nairobi, and when it came out, the SPLA was very influential in gathering all the communities. But after the war, the SPLA went down and the other parties showed up, like you have the IO, the NAS, and other things. So now the information is being told to those who are members either of certain tribes or members who are affiliated with these new parties. So, and then the SPLA, which is the government side, they all went underground. They are not informing people about what is going on. So if the SPLA or the ambassador himself, instead of sitting down in Washington here, could go and propagate peace in other cities.
Thank you, Peter. We'll leave it at that.
Maybe I can clarify my of this project and seeing many communities that come from different backgrounds, but who are South Sudanese coming together in these dialogues. And I've felt and I've read and seen photos, the sense of unity that happens in the room when you're dialoguing. So I'm curious, more so as it relates to this sort of initiative of uniting South Sudanese diaspora communities in the United States, how does this contribute, or how do the lessons from this then go back to South Sudan to influence the peace process in a way that emphasizes the messages from here?
Well, this thing is contributing positive.
Okay. Con?
Well, I think it is a good question. You know, the community members are tired of this war, and they want to put an end to it. As Peter mentioned, we have different parties to this peace agreement, and each party have their own members. At the part of the leadership of SPLM-IO, we have a representative here in the United States that when we have the information back home, we share it with the leadership team, and also we share it with the community. I think it is vital for the people here that to influence the implementation of peace agreement, because people are dying, people are suffering. We saw the celebration between this army and also the government, the civil government in South Sudan. We saw them getting together. So as a North community member and leader, we communicate with our people back home that it is better to have peace in South Sudan instead of continue with war. But the peace is not, the implementation of this agreement, as I think you know, is not going very well in the side of the government, because the things that put in peace are not being implemented or being completed. For Dr. Rick to go to Juba and inform the government, the implementation of peace agreement or the provisions that were signed has to be implemented first before the government is formed.
Thank you, Con. We'll leave it at that. Simon Omot.
Thank you, David, for giving me a chance. I mean, to go directly to the questions, what the people of diaspora can contribute to the peace back home is to, to not allowing all the negative things that are going on and try to unite all the communities so that the people back home can see that the people in diaspora are united and are speaking with one voice. That's the only thing that can bring a change back home. But if we are contributing to the negativities that is going on back home, then we are adding more problem to the issue. So for us in diaspora to come together and speak with one voice will change things back home, because we are contributing a lot to the issue back home. So that should be our priorities. We should be talking among ourselves, ignoring all of those negativities. That way we can make a change back home.
Thank you, Simon. Okay.
Thank you, everybody. My name is Michael Manuel. We are a very loving community. Everyone can see that right now. But then we are a silent community at the same time. We have a big problem while we are here. It's a really nice, you guys come up with this kind of project. It's very helpful. And it can achieve something in our country. But we have a big problem. The big problem in South Sudan is just two things that we never understand very well. Do we want to build a nation, or do we want to build the tribes? This is the only problem we have. If we want to build a nation, it will be easy for us to communicate and build a nation. But if we want to build a tribe, it will not take us ahead, and that will not be easy. So if foreign government want to help us in a certain way, is that we need to be taught as a people of South Sudan, because we don't even know what is governing is all about.
Let's answer the question only.
So the thing is this, we need to be helped how to know how to build our nation.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll leave it at that. Brother Dave?
Thank you, Brother David. The question I asked how the community will influence the people back home. Yeah, it's a very good question. The only problem with this, people here in diaspora play a little part of what's going on back home. And Brother mentioned the peace process, the revitalized peace agreement, which is supposed to take place. The full implementation of it probably will play more role here and help us to play more role to talk about it, be able to persuade people and let them know that the peace is going on back home. First thing people should know is that South Sudan is a tribal and ethnic society. I'm a Dinka, and then I'm from Tree, in Warap, way down to the village where I have a father with 3 wives or 4 wives. And from there, I have to be careful how I handle things. And that's the issue back home. We have a good number of us here who can play more role in how these peace could be promoted. And that's the important thing we are here. The good thing that Ambassador is here, because he will take note and actually he has more role to play, because he is representing our country here in this country, and he will be able to coordinate with each and every one of us here to send the message back home. And that's the most important thing. Social media has been mentioned here is important, because most of this chaos is the result of the social media. Because it's very easy for somebody to send a message or a pass a message to 100, even 5,000 of their closest friends. And it could be a negative one, sometimes it could be a positive one. But the more important thing is, and what is South Sudan lacking is, South Sudanese lack role models. When I was a child soldier in SPLA, we used to sing songs when I joined the movement in 1986 about bourgeoisie in Khartoum. Bourgeoisie in Khartoum were the leaders. And we have those of Lago, those of Brilliant, these are the people we sing bad thing about them. And then guess what? After we live in the country, who are the bourgeoisie now? The people who fought the liberation movement and became the bourgeoisie now. And guess what? They became the bad guys now. Because they are doing the same thing those who they fought against are doing. So building role models is important. Last year in Phoenix, Golden was with us. And I tried to make some observation. No single Southern Sudanese went to Golden and signed an autograph. No single person. Golden is a superstar. If you go to Park here, you'll see so many people go there and ask for his autograph. But only our role models are politicians. You find somebody who graduated from the university with a master's degree, and his favorite politician is his uncle or his auntie. And this comes back to the point, do we build a country or do we build a tribe? Because my favorite uncle is my favorite politician. Anyway.
Thank you, brother. Then we'll leave it at that. So, for the interest of time,
anyway.
no, it's okay. It's okay. This is the first time South Sudanese are keeping time, so we good. For the rest of you, we'll come back to that. So we need to move to a different section right now. So
I just want to to revisit this question in the next session.
Right.
So maybe that's a chance for others to speak.
Right.
I know that we only have 6 minutes until our guests arrive, so I think David wants to do one last thing.
Right. So so for that, let me say this. So we have our guests here that have been listening with us, and we need to feed them in for the observation. So at this time, the person who will give a chance to is Ambassador Kate, former South Sudan ambassador to South Sudan, and the first ambassador we know at the Diaspora. Uncle Kate, we want, based on your observation and the discussion we have taken, so we want to give you 3 minutes to make to contribute to the discussion we just had. So the floor is yours.
Thank you, Brother David. Having listened to the discussion that we have led, I feel that there are two suggestions that I can make. First, when you all came to America, you did make a very good contribution about South Sudan, exploring, exposing what was not known within the U.S. community, whether in the church or with the representatives or other think tank institutions. The question of South Sudan became known. You contributed in many other ways, financially and humanitarianly. After the conflict, you contributed also towards the achievement of the freedom of South Sudan through the referendum. So you have been doing a great thing and you will continue doing a great thing. Media divides and it encourages. I will not want to dwell on that. But I want to suggest that I know, I have seen that you are very interested in getting the continuity of the dialogue. If people do not talk, then nothing can get solved. People have to continue dialoguing. So I appeal to USIP that has started this program to work harder to maintain it and expand it so that it can go to other places. And yes, I agree with you. Once you are united here, and I think there are better opportunities for you as people to get united, then the problem in South Sudan is likely to get solved because you contribute positively or sometimes, unfortunately, fueling some difference. So another point is that we need capacity building, and this is part of capacity building. There are no political institutions that can run a country without the technical know-how, many people. So I think it is necessary for the friends of South Sudan, the strategic friends of South Sudan, the United States and other government, to continue helping the people of South Sudan through capacity building, whether it is direct to the South Sudanese Americans who are here or through people who come from home. That would be absolutely necessary. So I've taken more than 3 minutes. Thank you so much, and I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador Kate. So we will, for the remaining minute, we will recognize Honorable Atem as one of our guests that came from South Sudan and wanted him to learn and listen. And from the conversation you have listened to before we go to the second sessions, I would like to hear from you. the discussion go from us, as this is your first time in the diaspora.
Thank you so much. And I do appreciate the invitation which was given to me. The way people were talking here is so positive in my eyes, because the diaspora has been projected as if they are so hostile to each other and they cannot even see the one. But the way you are discussing issues now is positive. Now, if you are united here as a lobby group, like what Jews are doing or Lebanese or whoever, you can have a lot of differences in South Sudan. Because already you have a positive things you have done in South Sudan. The people who have been educated in Ethiopia, in Kenya, in Uganda, that they are educated through what you will meet from here, from Australia, from Canada. Again, the medical care, elderly people who are relatives to all of you, is because of you. This is why they are in Kenya, in East Africa, and Ethiopia. So I think this one gives you also a leverage over South Sudanese. If you are united, you are an American citizen. So the institutions here, the decision-making circles here, you can influence them, and then, because Americans have been our allies since, then they can also influence decision makers in South Sudan. So it is your unity, not political unity, because you can have all Americans are united, but they have so two giant two parties. So you can be united culturally, you like the 9th of July, if you celebrate it. I'm quite sure the Americans will be watching what you are doing, because you have a rich culture. So what I want to say is that if you are united, as Simon was saying before, you can have a better impact on us. Social media is not only dividing South Sudanese along tribes. No, within a tribe, within a section, my own section, for example, they do attack us like hell. They children who have never seen us, or they don't know us, but they give you character which is not your characteristics. So I think it's a problem, whether among the Nuer community, Dinka community, the Equatorial community, and the Equatorial should teach others also, because there are several tribes and they are coming together usually. Why that? And they are South Sudanese. And other South Sudanese, they don't want to come together. I think also we can learn from each other. I'm happy to be among you, and I'm optimistic such a program will bring you together, and you will be changing us there. Why do you divide yourself? You have two things which are very important, which we may not have them there. You are educated, and it's a positive thing for Africans when you are educated. Number two, you are exposed to the West. You know what is democracy, what is human rights, what all this, what is the value of unity when you are united. You know it better than us there, because we are their tribes, but here, in Umruman, Lizard and in Khartoum, they have never attacked their tribes. When they were chasing away Umar al-Bashir and his colleagues, they consider them to be government, regardless they come from where. But for you, instead of seeing the government as a group which you want to reform, or that you go to your tribes and you come and divide yourself. Don't divide us. Come together. Correct us. And then most of the people here are young people. 40 or 45 downwards. We are there, the one in politics are from 50. So I think our son is sitting and your son is rising. So you better look for the future. Don't look for today. We are looking for today. My generation is looking for today. What future do I want another 10 years? I doubt. And that's where it's a miracle. So, but for you, you are looking for another 50 years. Why do you stay in your future? Come to that. This is what I can tell you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Atem. Honorable Ambassador and Brother Dr. Isaac M. Your session will be the second session, so I'll try to follow the protocol. if I did wrong. So we will end it there with a remark from the Honorable. I'll end it over to Nicoletta. As you can see, our guests are coming, so make sure you introduce yourself during the break also. It is a time to socialize. So Nicoletta.
Thank you. I just wanted to say thank you for being a part of this initial session. We're going to be joined by a few people on Zoom. You may see that some colleagues have joined for the next session online, so they'll be participating remotely. And then we'll have a few colleagues coming in person who will be joining us around the table. I just learned that part of Constitution Avenue is shut down for some reason, so I think a few people may be a little delayed. So I would just say maybe we can take a 5-minute, very short break just to ask our guests who are arriving to come to the table. We can use washrooms if need be, but then reconvene in about 5 minutes. And for those on the line, we'll be starting in just 5 minutes. Thank you.